Welcome to the Shade Chronicles, an anthology-style podcast featuring short works of fiction and serial prose, specifically with a sci-fi and horror flavor. Your hosts for the podcast are Derek Leftridge and Lawrence Trokey.
Hi, this is Derek Leftridge, and I would like to welcome you to the Shade Chronicles.
Hi, this is Lawrence Trokey, and I also want to welcome you and thank you for spending your time with us.
In the Basement by Derek Leftridge. Growing up at my grandparents' home, the scariest place on earth was their basement. Even when I began to live in the basement, it still would creep me out, and to this day, the strange things that happen are very unnerving at this time. Walking down the steep incline of these dark steps to the basement is not recommended. The first light source is located below at the bottom of the first landing, where a string is attached to a naked bulb in the ceiling. The first flight will be treacherous to descend. The railing is made of an old 1-inch piping and is not really secured into the stone wall too well. It shifts and moves as you use the railing to get balance while walking on the steps. And the steps are created out of very aged stone that is cracked and large pieces are missing where good footing is required. The moonlight that is quickly disappearing over my shoulder is my only way of seeing to the first landing. Finally, I make it to the first of the 3 landings and my horror begins. The musty stench of age and earth enter my nostrils. The small amount of light put off by the uncovered light bulb above me is only enough to see my way to the second landing, but barely. Never-ending blackness awaits past that. This landing is only wide enough for me to turn to my left, then the second set of dilapidated steps begins. Using the wall to my right to keep my balance, I feel the cool, wet film of condensation and age. My flesh begins to crawl with sick fear, knowing I'm closer to my destination. 12 steps down the second flight, and I still cannot see anything in front of me, and breathing has begun to become a problem. The age and dank air getting closer to the bottom is quickly becoming thick in my lungs. My memory is always fuzzy at this part, but if I can concentrate and think, with this cold fear building, there should be one last landing in the final flight of steps up ahead. As I continue to stagger down the second flight, I can sense there is no wall or barrier on my left side. It is all open space. I can feel an empty breeze on my face. At step 20 or 21, I am getting dizzy. I finally get to the third landing, and the light from the second landing is mostly non-existent. I blindly reach above for another string in hopes of another light. My hand brushes a thick spider web, then the string. I tug at the string, and the light illuminates, but is swallowed by the darkness. Then I hear a pop as the bulb goes out. I do not remember how many steps to them, but as soon as I am close, I will be able to smell them all before seeing them. I always forget why I come down here. I guess the fear causes amnesia. Now I can see them in the dark. They are waiting down there in the shadows for me as usual. They have been watching me since I started down the crazy twist of steps. All of them in their red-colored, stained clothing, salivating, crying, and making their way to me. I turn to look up the steps and wish I could jump to the top in one movement. I stumble on the first step, and I land hard. I feel something graze my legs. When I look up the stairs to the top in my escape, I see the ones that will help me with their bright white robes, smiling and reaching for me. My legs get pulled by the crazed red people, but my upper body is pulled free by the white saviors. I get pulled up the stairs to the light, and I help by getting my bearings and begin to use my feet. The last thing I see before the door is shut is the crimson faces of the ones from the basement leering at me from the bottom of the first flight. They do not make a sound, but they mouth, "We will get you." And this is what is in the basement.